Is this world a dark place? Some of you may, excuse me, some of you may disagree, say, no, I don't think this is a pretty dark place. Excuse me, well. Others of you may say, yeah, I think it is. I think this is a dark place. But I mean, come on, look at all the Christmas decorations. I mean, in fact, today is just this beautiful day. We can see the sun shining through the windows. I even saw blue sky on my way in here. No, we don't get snow for Christmas, but isn't it gorgeous outside? Man. But this world can be pretty dark. Even Christmas can be dark. And I'll prove it to you. And it's something you already know and experience. Christmas is the most stressful holiday of the entire year. Traditions to be held. People to buy gifts for that you want to wow and impress. And all of the hustle and bustle of running around for everything. For everything. I know we put on our smiling faces as soon as you walk in this door. But there are those conversations. Those people that you sit around the family dinner table with. And the other people that you have to get into contact with. And Christmas is the time where you are forced to be in contact with them. And you know those people in your family and friends. If you don't, maybe you're the one they're thinking of. But Christmas and the family gatherings, they're not always the happiest place to be. This world can be a pretty dark place. This world can be a pretty dark place. And we just have to admit it. Why? So that the light can penetrate the darkness. Isaiah was talking to the people at that time who didn't really recognize the darkness around them. In fact, they were quite prosperous. They thought things were going pretty well. But soon a nation would come and defeat them. One that was not afraid to punish and destroy. This nation would use torture techniques that are unheard of in rules of war today. They piled up these heads of the slain soldiers into pyramids in order to prove a point. Yeah, I'd say that world is a pretty dark place. And in the book of Isaiah, if you were to read the rest of it, God takes aim at many of the dark behaviors that were happening around that time. People flaunting their sexual promiscuity, even in the name of religion. Drunkenness was wild as substance abuse were out there. One of the phrases that Isaiah uses is the champion of wine drinking. The people were celebrating. Neighbor turned against neighbor. There were poor throughout the countryside, and little mercy to give them any relief. The elderly were not being cared for. Instead, they were being mocked or put off to the side. And we experience many of the same darknesses in our world. This world can be a pretty dark place. People can do terrible things. Absolutely terrible things. All the different devastations that can come. Darkness is everywhere that we look, even inside of ourselves. Isaiah describes the darkness in a few different words. He opens up in chapter 2, and he says, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. And on those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned. The first word he uses is generally like we use the same English word for darkness is to mean bad things. But then he amplifies it, and he turns it up, and he calls the next word for darkness the shadow of death. Shadow of death, something that is completely unavoidable. And many of those people who are listening to this would watch their family members and their friends be slain and murdered at the hands of the Babylonian armies that would invade. And it would be a dark time. But we see that too. Death, we cannot avoid it. It is something that even some of you have either said or heard this. This might be the last Christmas that we get to spend with Grandma or Mom or Dad. And it's a sobering truth that there will be one person at that dinner table that will see and witness the rest be put into the ground. Yeah, that death can overshadow the great joy of Christmas. And he goes even deeper. We think, well, isn't this enough, Isaiah? And he goes deeper. He says they were walking around in this shadow of death, this land. They weren't dragged kicking and screaming. They willingly went into this place. The darkness that really, really gets me and keeps me up at night is not all the dark things that I see out there. It's really the darkness that I have in here. That I too am capable of some of those dark things. And those are the things that really get me. And maybe some of you can relate to that. Well, this world can be a pretty dark place. We need light. We need light to penetrate this darkness, to overwhelm and overtake this darkness. And that's what Isaiah comes to. When he makes this contrast, just like night and day, he says those who are walking in this darkness, they've seen this great light. And in verse 6, he explains it. He says, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given." Have you ever watched the sun rise as the darkness screams for the other horizon? It is gorgeous. Darkness cannot live where light is. And so when we think about Christmas, we think about lights, we think about the light. We think about the coming of Jesus Christ. Yes, a child is born. But he's more than just a child. He goes on to describe him, the authority to rule will rest on his shoulders, and what a good thing that will be. And what does that mean for us? Well, he says here, his name will be called Wonderful Counselor. He's better than any other counselor that ever existed, because other counselors, they don't know. They don't know everything, but he does. That's an amazing, wonderful blessing. Mighty God. By him and through him, the entire world was made. Of course, he has the power to help and assist. Everlasting Father. Not only does he have the power, but he has the compassion of a perfect Father, loving and gracious. And Prince of Peace. When he comes, he brings peace. He brings peace and this joy that comes from him. And we needed this light to come. We needed this light to be both God and man. He needed to be God. Well, because God could have sent anybody. God could have sent anyone, and he already did before, many people who said, well, look at the darkness of your sin. Look at all these things going wrong. He could send anybody to do that. But he needed to be more than just that. He could have sent an angel if we needed somebody to be a perfect example for us to follow and live by. I mean, the Christmas message could be, think about Gabriel and how wonderful and how beautiful his message was, how comforting he was to Mary, and how he brought this message to the shepherds, be like Gabriel. No, we needed more than just a good example. We needed Jesus to be both God and man. We needed him to be man with a beating heart, so that sometime that heart would stop. Because death is that greatest darkness. And we needed somebody who could enter into that darkness. We needed somebody who had blood in his veins so that his blood could be the sacrifice. sacrifice for sin and guilt. So that when we come before God, the light that penetrates all of our darkness can chase it away. We needed him to be God so that, well, he wouldn't just do it for himself. He could do it for everyone. For you. Yes, you. Jesus came for you. What a magnificent blessing. What light that breaks through, that God himself would be for you. His light surely breaks into our darkness and can transform anything. Darkness cannot exist where there is light. But light doesn't stand alone. Christians, we need each other. Isaiah talks about the increase of the nations. When one light pierces the darkness, it's bright. But when many lights pierce the darkness, it is even brighter. So we need encouragement from each other. Instead of bringing each other down, to build each other up and to be a light. To be a light when other people are tempted to gravitate towards that darkness. You can be the light. You can be the one who brings greatness to the conversation at the dinner table. No, we need this light. We need this gift. And there are some gifts that are truly humbling when we receive them. Hopefully none of you will get this gift, but maybe I'll predict it for some of you. So you open up the gift, and it is a one-year membership to the gym. Just what everyone wanted, right? And you look at your Christmas punch and back at the certificate and you say, what are you trying to say? But that person in love said maybe what needed to be said. We don't like to hear about darkness. We don't like to hear about sin. We don't like to be confronted with those realities of death and all these things. But what a good thing to know that, because when the door is open to those dark closets, Jesus Christ can come in and he chases the darkness away. What a light Christ is. It shines in this world that needs it. It shines in our heart that desperately want forgiveness and to be washed and cleansed. And that's exactly what we are. The greatest gift is this gift for you. The light of Jesus Christ. Amen. We gather our offering this afternoon. During the offering, we'll hear Magnificat. It is a song sung by Mary as baby Jesus was still inside of her.